Wait, can you guys? Sorry, you guys still hear me? Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Hey everybody, welcome to Street Fight Radio, your number one anarcho comedy radio show on any station across the nation. We now do it 3 times a week, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm posting a show for y'all to listen to. You're gonna get the normal 2 that we do, but this third one is special. It's anything we want to do. We're trying to make them creative and fun and bring in more people into the Street Fight realm. But before you can bring new people in, you got to go back to the best that you ever had. And one of the best guests we ever had was Will Menaker, and he went on to do the world famous Chapo Trap House podcast. And he was always someone we could rely on to talk about TV, the most important art form in American media. And that's why we brought him back this week. Brian bugged his wife, said you gotta watch 24 Legacy with me. She said hell no. He bugged me, said Brett, you gotta watch it for the show. I said fine, I don't want to. He said Will Menaker's in. I said okay, then I'm in.
So yeah, how you doing, Will?
I need the CTU uplink.
Yeah.
I need the CTU uplink to the main data servers. Give me access. What is the code?
The CTU is an organization that I'm actually new to.
Brett has never seen 24. Will, were you familiar with 24 before we started watching this?
Let me lay the CV out. You know, I'm not just some libtard TV critic that's just gonna come on and be like, oh, it's simply awful. It's so terrible that this is on television. I have seen every hour of 24 ever produced, which I think now is a full week of my life that I'm never getting back. So just because it's morally abhorrent doesn't mean I don't find it entertaining, or at least at one time in my life did.
I have to say that I do initially really like it because it opens up with a guy that did something in his past and it's catching up to him, which is like the simplest of stories.
But this is funny because it's the rebooted 24 Legacy.
Right.
So, I mean, it's hard to talk about 24 Legacy without talking about the original 24.
That's true.
But that was very much a theme in the original show. Yeah. And in fact, 24 Legacy is exactly like 24, except there's no Kiefer Sutherland. That's the only difference.
I missed the first 2 seasons, but I started watching the season where Jack Bauer got addicted to heroin.
Oh, that was a good one.
That was great.
That sounds fantastic.
That was a good one.
I do have to say I like the worldview as well because it seems like there's always an obvious choice. Like there is no decisions, there's no tough decisions, there's the right decision, and it's because something's about to explode. Always.
Well, there's plenty of tough decisions, but like it's clear which one you should make.
Yeah, if you make the he's right. Like there are tough decisions. It's like you're either gonna have to shoot your wife or an entire fucking city's gonna blow up. But obviously you shoot your wife in that case.
Yeah, something like that.
And it's full blown propaganda. Like I realize that this is why people think that there are terrorists lurking around every corner.
Yeah, it really is incredible. I was talking to Matt Cushbaum Chrisman, Chapo Trap House co-host, about this the other day, and like it premiered right after the Super Bowl last weekend, and it was just people forget the original 24 first aired on television before 9/11, but like very, very
so it was
very close.
It was pushing the envelope.
Yeah, it was probably like
cutting edge.
Or maybe it premiered after, but like the whole first season had been pretty much done or something. So it was a weird moment for that show to come on TV, but it was like perfectly anticipated and captured where the culture was going. And I think Matt was saying it's almost like, you know, that was in the Bush era and it was responding to something in the American id. And now we're in the Trump era and it's like we've willed CTU back into existence. We just need it in our lives to keep us safe from the omnipresent and just constant terrorist threats everywhere all the time.
It's embedded. By the way, it's the embedded terrorist threats.
Well, sleeper cells. There's sleeper cells everywhere.
And it seems like because for the last 8 years, Barack Obama has been making all of our SEALs wear heels. And so that's why they haven't been doing any of this. So now we've got someone in the driver's seat that's ready to take some heads.
Dude, we're on the offensive. No more of this playing D shit. We're driving the ball down the field.
Best defense, great offense.
Season 1 premiered. Actually, season 1 premiered November 6, 2001.
Holy shit! So like a month after 9/11.
Less. 2 months after 9/11. This one, that 24. That's probably why I didn't watch the first 2 seasons, because I was like, I'm scared of anything terrorist related at that time. But it's such a perfect because
it's weird though. In the first season of 24, like the whole payoff is that it's a Serbian war criminal played by Dennis Hopper is like the fucking puppet master, and he's all doing it to get revenge on Jack for some mission he did in the Balkans. So like that's how sort of like when they kicked the ball off, how sort of slightly out of touch it was. And then right after that, it was just like everything is like Abu Muhammad has the sarin nerve gas and he's gonna set it off at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean they do lay it on thick, and the Khalid, Ben Khalid is perfect.
Abu Ben Khalid.
Yes, and his sleeper cells are something that we have to stay up at night in terror thinking about.
He's perfect because it sounds like a name that Felix would say at one point, doing something like, oh yeah, Abu Ben Khalid is friends with the, but he's like the son of a legendary terrorist, so it's all very. Legacy plays its way out through the whole series.
It's deep like that.
Because being familiar with 24, with the other 24s, I know that there are small things in the show that are not small things. Like a main point of the show is somebody that you like right now is a terrorist. That is there's no indication that they're a terrorist. They might be working against their own interests right now.
Okay.
But later on, you're going to be like, oh, that son of a bitch gets killed.
Okay. Someone's deep undercover.
My guess, Jimmy Smits.
Oh, my God, Brian. In my notes right now, I'm putting a marker down. Jimmy Smits equals Jimmy Snitch. He's the traitor.
My first note on this show is Jimmy Smits is definitely a traitor.
Yeah,
Matt, I can't believe this. My first note that I took on this is Jimmy Smits seems like he's on Quaaludes.
he's very relaxed. I was happy to see him though. They had the TV level of fame. Like Jimmy Smits was there. That Carcetti looking guy from Scandal is in there. I saw a few people that I recognized.
I got to ask Will before we move past Jimmy Smits. Who do you like better, Jimmy Smits from 24, Jimmy Smits from Sons of Anarchy?
Holmes, I like him better as Vato.
Me too. I was like, damn, I wish he could just go back. I wish he could just play the character from Sons of Anarchy in this show.
Yeah, he sucked, dude. Like, he's just playing, like, it's the same character he did on The West Wing. He's just a boring politician. And, like, but, it's funny. Like, I don't know when the last time 24 was on TV, probably like a couple years ago. It's like, it hasn't been off the air that long.
7 years.
This is just like really?
They just
there was like a 24 like half season called like Die Another Day or Live Again or I don't know.
Yeah, they killed Jack Bauer.
I don't know.
That's where they killed Jack Bauer. That he's done. That's why we need a legacy.
They hand him over to the Russians at the end.
Oh, okay. You watched that too?
Oh, I told you I watched all the 24.
He said every.
So yeah, it ran until 2010. And then came back.
Obama's special snowflakes couldn't take it.
And then it ran until 2010, and then it came back in 2014. I mean, like back when I was working at the cable company and I was a pretty right-wing dude, I listened to a television panel where Rush Limbaugh was interviewing all the cast of 24 and the writers. So, they leaned into their conservative nature for sure.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most insidious things about it is it has a ripped from the headlines nature. Like, when that young terrorist girl was from Chechnya, I was, all right, Boston Strong in the house. they're flexing their this is some real shit muscles right now.
See, like, okay, so it hasn't been off the air that long. They did come back in 2014 for like a special like half season or whatever. So like this really just is another season of 24. But again, no Kiefer Sutherland. He's just a producer. But like the thing is, like I hadn't seen it in a while, like as a show, and I'm certainly not going to go back and like watch any of the original series. But however, this is the first time I've seen 24 after having seen all of Decker. And it's now impossible to watch. It's like, it was silly before, but like now it's impossible to watch this show and not just think of every line being said by Decker.
And you sent me a clip of Decker. I've watched the whole first season of Decker and part of the Hawaii one. I don't know, like my wife was fine. Like I watched it all in one night. My wife, after a while, was like, all right, enough of this. Come on. Let's move on to something else. So like I do. The only difference between Decker and 24 is that Tim does these things where like he reads the words wrong on like yeah. It's like stilted. The dialogue's so stilted because it's like he's reading it. That's the only difference. They read it like they're just reading it, not messing up. They read tape.
Yeah.
But they do. It's like, ridiculous.
It's performed eloquently, but they are saying things like, "I will never not defend the U.S. Constitution from terrorists like Abu bin Khalid."
He hates Abu bin Khalid. No, that's the one he killed, right? Abu bin Khalid is the killed one. Yeah. And his so the next thing I wanna get these out here, these few things, because they're going to be very important later, Brett. If your delicate sensibilities continue to watch this show, the fact that Bashir is missing. He's the extremist social media expert, and there's a new woman that can hear really well. That's also something that's going to come up later on. Okay. Bashir might be working. Bashir is probably also a traitor, is what I'm getting at.
Well, yeah. So this is real life. This is like going to work, basically. This is why I like this show. It's like when I go to the office and everybody's out to get me.
See, the thing about 24 that's underrated is that it is basically a workplace show. Probably a third of it takes place in the CTU offices, and it's just like people sort of giving each other like intense stares like across like two conference rooms or something.
I don't know. Someone got tasered in the neck in this one. That looked like that wasn't above board.
Yeah, because he didn't book the conference room on the shared email system, and she needed to use it.
Yeah, I mean, it gets real in there, and the CTU. To come back to it again, was like they were talking about the FBI, the CIA, and the CTU, and I was like, oh, that's a new word soup. I didn't know that one.
Well, in the 24 universe, CTU basically exists, and of course, nothing has changed in the new 24. CTU exists to both fight terrorists, wherever they may be, by any means necessary, but also repeatedly facilitate terrorist attacks on the United States by being the least secure intelligence agency in human history. The most infiltrated high-level intelligence organization ever in all of history.
See, this is why it's ripped from the headlines. I mean, they pretty much are just reflecting our own government.
Well, right. and I mean, like, as I'm watching this show, and even as we're talking about it now, I think everybody knows, I've said it a million times on this show, that, like, I was very conservative for a period of my life, and I was very afraid of terrorism, and that coincides with the time that I was watching this show. Like, I think I really felt like terrorists could infiltrate, like, the whole I mean, I guess they can.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're taking
no, they fucking can't. What are you talking about? I don't think
if they're all
ISIS
double
is
agents.
Is going to infiltrate like the highest levels of the U.S. government. I really don't think that.
Wasn't the vice president a bad guy once?
No, the president was a bad guy.
Well, that's ripped from the headlines. That's what we have right now.
That's true now. So
I mean, I guess like they're doing it for their own nefarious purposes, not because they're ideologically sympathetic to terrorists, but like they're like, oh, I could use this as some sort of Nixonian power play.
Going to use these terrorists like Bush did with 9/11. He used the terrorists to get the Patriot Act. So the next thing that I wanted to bring up was like, so we have a new Jack Bauer.
Yes. Eric Carter.
Eric Carter.
Carter, lazy name, probably just because it's Lil Wayne's name and Jay-Z's name.
and he's played by the actor who portrayed Dr. Dre in Straight Outta Compton.
So, yes, and he is He can't get his wife pregnant for some reason.
He doesn't want to get his wife pregnant.
Yeah.
Because he loves killing people. So that
He loves
you know
war.
Well, that's what they're that's one of the things when we get introduced to his brother, which I'll get to in a minute, and his wife's just like, I just think he can't get enough of it. And his brother's like, enough of like what? And she's like, you know. And what they're really saying is he can't get enough of killing people, not even just war. Like, man, he was out there. He loved all the killing. Now he can't do it anymore.
He has a heart for vengeance.
But he has relatives that I found because now we have a black guy. You always meet. You had met Jack Bauer's family. You ended up meeting his dad, who was also a terrorist. Wasn't he? Jack Bauer's dad was a terrorist too, right?
And his brother at one point too. Both of them were in on some plot. Yeah.
I gotta see this shit, man.
I mean,
this sounds like my family too. I'm mostly
He
related
he tortured his own brother at one point on the show. That ruled.
Yep. That could happen at any of my family reunions.
I mean, it's really, and I always draw this line, but it really is like wrestling in that they have all these characters and they have to keep pitting them against each other and doing new things, you know?
Yeah, reinvent the person.
Another subplot in this show. Or no, I'm sorry. I want to get to what Eric needs to get his girlfriend somewhere, right? Because he's been attacked.
Well, like the setup is like Agent Eric Carter is a former U.S. Army Ranger who led like a Zero Dark 30 style raid on a terrorist mastermind's compound and aired him out just like Bin Laden, and his name is like Bin Khalid or something, and has since it was like such a highly black op mission. He's like, him and his whole team are now living like basically under witness protection because they're afraid of terrorist retaliation or something, which again seems odd to me because like Chris Kyle came back to this country and like fucking signed a book deal and like everybody knew who he was. So for some reason they're living under assumed names.
And a terrorist didn't take him out.
Well, and they're making a SEAL Team 6 movie too, don't they? They like relentlessly follow these guys to the point where like Eric Carter would have already been in like a Ford commercial or something like that.
That's true. That's true. They get. Go ahead.
But you know, it wouldn't be a show. It wouldn't be 24 if the covers wasn't blown. Their cover's blown, and there's terrorists. Just like the opening scene is like terrorists killing this guy's family. So it just gets started real quick.
Well, yeah,
First
they
hour.
always and. That is another very conservative thing because like when you're a conservative man sitting at home and you see another man's family gunned down, you're like, oh, you know what I would do?
Yeah,
in
that's
situation.
You gotta see. There are people actually. We could stop here for a second because there are people that have problems with kids getting killed in action movies. Like I know people that won't watch those ones. You know. That, like,
they don't actually show a kid getting killed, but they
right.
imply
They
it.
show families, yeah, but they show families and shit, which is supposed to get you into your like death wish mode.
Yeah, just be like anything that happens to these guys from this point out is already justified, and I feel that within the first 5 seconds of the show.
Exactly.
They're so heartless, man. When they killed the one guy's wife, I was just like, that wasn't part of the deal.
They lied. The woman says, "You said if we told him where you were at, you wouldn't kill us," and the guy shoots her in the forehead. Damn.
They're terrorists.
Dastardly terrorists, yes. And so they come after Eric Carter and his wife, and she hides upstairs. He gets to kill the guys. He's pretty good. He's good. Like I buy him. I buy that he killed those guys, and he really liked it.
Yeah, they're assholes. You got to kill you would, even you, Brett, even tender Brett Payne would shoot the hell out of people out of those guys, you know?
Yeah, he had good moves.
So he gets out. He has to so his wife is in danger now because he's been found out and he has to take her somewhere. Now, I didn't know where they were going to take him. Did you guys have guesses of where they were going to end up dropping her off? Because, I mean, Will, I know you didn't think CTU because bad things happen when you drop your loved ones off at CTU. Yeah. Brett, did you have any guesses?
I did not. I was hoping. I guess I didn't want to fill it in. I didn't want to assume the worst. And they went ahead and drove right to Southeast DC. Anacostia, where apparently there are militias standing on the streets with armed weapons. The gangs are that bad in DC.
I mean, they didn't look like a militia, but they go to Eric Carter's brother, who's like a gang drug kingpin or something.
Yeah.
Some DC boss.
And whoever wrote this was so amped to have a black guy, because they would have never done that. They would have never thought, like, oh, maybe his brother's a drug kingpin. And you even pointed out something better to me, Will. I don't think you could work for CTU if your brother was a drug kingpin.
Yeah, like if you have close family members with like multiple felonies, I think it's sort of like hard to get a top level security clearance, but I could be wrong, and maybe they made an exception in his case.
Because of his skills.
But they also they also say that he used to be like in business with his brother and was like doing dirt in the streets with him, and then he was like, oh, then I met my wife and joined the army and became a ranger.
Became a good guy, okay? I became a damn good guy.
Did the right thing, put down the damn Black Lives Matter and started saying American Lives Matter.
Yeah.
They looked like, his gang, to me, looked like what those people think the new Black Panthers look like. They were like wearing all black, and they had guns, and they were standing in front of this complex. It was very, I don't know, and it's just a setup for a gang, drug dealers versus terrorists fight later on.
I hope so.
That's nice. It's like a Sons of Anarchy.
Like, who would win? Yeah, that's true. Who would win? Like, that's some fantasy stuff that somebody's talking about. Well, the drug dealers know the neighborhood, so they're probably going to beat the terrorists.
Yeah, that's happened in the Facebook comments somewhere, is that arguments are being had for fun.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, so, yeah, that was one of the neat. Oh, also his dad. If we're talking about legacies, his father was in the military too, and they did some dirt. The government did some dirt to his father.
The government is always doing dirt. I mean, here's the other thing about it is that 24 happens in a world where like Jason Bourne it's like a Jason Bourne type world. It's just where like the government is constantly being dastardly and running black ops to cover up other black ops, and there's just so many tangled webs, and we're just living on top of it. Like, that's for me, living in DC, these are the shows that give me anxiety to see like a shitload of black SUVs flying down the freeway at 90 miles an hour. I'm like, fucking Eric Carter's getting chased.
So,
well, like, I mean, like, the other thing about like 24 is that like I said, it's exactly the same now. It's just a different lead actor. And it's like every season, it's like there are basically 4 settings. And it's like there's the main action setting, which follows Jack Bauer, or in this case, Eric Carter. And like he's like out in the world and like making shit happen. And that's like the action plot. Then there's the office plot, which always takes place at like CTU headquarters, which is just this like office. It's just an office, basically. It's a sort of open floor plan, and then like some like glass cube conference rooms upstairs, but like, lots of just computers and big screens and like conference calls and shit.
Well, lots of people watching a progress bar.
Yeah. They're like, it's not downloading fast enough.
Yeah.
Then there's like the political plot that like usually takes place like with like the president and his chief of staff and like the president's family or some shit like that. And then there's like the plot that follows like the terrorists or the bad guys, which is like that's probably the most minor one, but like there's always like some plot afoot and you're not quite sure of it, but they just like keep revealing more and more of these like sort of slightly separate characters from all the other narratives, but like are going to be bad guys or try to do a terrorist attack or some shit.
Yeah, and so this one we found out they're looking for some ancient case that has something inside of it.
It's not ancient. It's a strong box.
Oh, it's a strong box. I thought it was an ancient case.
I thought fucking Indiana Jones.
Yeah. I figured it was Indiana Jones shit.
I mean, you would believe it when you hear.
I mean, that's in that world until I see it.
So yeah, they're after it. But the terrorist plot that you were getting at, the one that it doesn't seem like it's tied to the show in any way, is a teenage girl. There is a teenage girl that goes to a high school that has
Brian. My first note on this was, what the fuck is this high school shit?
This is children's shit.
But as soon as I typed that, they immediately like established what was going on. So
yes.
Brian, continue
very quickly.
Yeah. So she, there's a young man that's very horny for her. He wants to be in a
Yeah.
he wants to be in a relationship
What's
with her.
lay beside her.
He wants to get physical.
Yes, and he
Gets in an altercation in the hallway
and
with her.
Yes, because
He's
gone
distraught.
through her phone.
He's distraught.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's distraught. He had gone through her phone, and at first you're like, "Is this somebody from CTU's daughter? Is she cheating on her boyfriend or something like that?" But he had gone through her phone, and apparently she'd been texting with somebody like "Death to America" and "We need to kill the oppressors." Those were the words that he said.
It was. We need to kill the
She was
oppressor.
like, "Yo,
Go ahead.
when you look at your main chick's phone and she be plotting a terrorist attack."
Bruh, I ain't got time for that.
Arthur clenches his fist.
So he goes. He's a snitch, and he goes to the teacher and he tells him. And the teacher, he's like, "Please don't get her in trouble, teach. Please."
Yeah, he's like, I don't know. I mean, maybe she's just doing it for the danger.
Yeah, maybe you can talk her out of it. Tell her that terrorism, you can get you suspended or something. I don't fucking know.
And here's the other thing about 24 that, like, I was instantly able to clock. Like, it just so predictable. The teacher character is like a high school teacher, and he's introduced by being like, to the guy, like, "You can never get physical with a woman. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is out of line." And he looked like a bearded version of fucking Andy Daly from Review.
Yes.
So
yep.
instantly I was like, yo, this guy is a snake, a lib, and a cuck.
He had
he's
Argyle.
all three of those things. All three of those things.
She goes to meet a terrorist in the library at school. And I was like, how did the terrorist get into school? Because my daughter goes to a school, and you gotta sign in to get in that motherfucker. There's no way.
There better not be terrorists at my daughter's school.
You never fucking know, because one of them
If there is, I'll fucking
teachers-
kill him.
So the teacher ends up breaking up the boy from bothering the girl, takes him in the office and says, what's going on? And he spills the beans. He says, she's texting terrorists. And he's like, "Who have you told about this?" And he's like, "Well, I'm going to go make sure that the right people hear about it." And he goes on his way.
Yeah. Well, the teacher's like, he's like, well, so he goes and meets the girl, and they talk, and then that's when, you find out the teacher's in cahoots with her, and they're fucking. Like, it wasn't like...
Right. So what you find out, a mere few scenes later, is that they meet in the library and get busy.
This Chechen teen has honeypotted this lib teacher, who also, by the way, it is as you said earlier, Will. They had already said, like, I know what people have said about you, and they are no, she, because he's been accused of touching students, I believe. Okay, and that's why he's mad at America.
They're like, "They lied about you and broke up your marriage, and now you can only see your kids every other weekend." And he's like, "Oh, I'm building this fucking bomb right now." That's how you get. That's how you get a man to build a bomb, right there.
You turn him into a disgusted dad. You got it fucking down, man.
I mean, that is another thread in many seasons of 24, is that like, racial profiling is always correct, and like the instinct to be like, God, like, why would you distrust your neighbors just because they're from Iran is always the wrong. Is always wrong.
Yes.
Like, you should distrust them. You should go with your first instinct and distrust them and report them to CTU, because they are always a fucking sleeper cell. Always.
Well, that was even the weird thing during the when Eric Carter got pulled over by the cops. It was very much it looked like they were filming a justified pullover. Like they just wanted to show one. And then when he started fighting back, I was like, they're just trying to show why people are dangerous, why the cops have such a dangerous job. It felt like an advertisement for the cops.
Motherfucker, I thought that was lib. Like, they were like, yeah, we admit some of the cops are racist. And somebody on Salon even wrote an article about how that was kind of woke of 24 to have them pull over.
Okay, we should explain the scene. Like, this is in hour 2.
He's on the run.
Agent Eric Carter is like on the street, and he's communicating with CTU, and like there's this idiotic contrivance that he just has to get like $2 million cash, and they're like, "Oh shit, you have to rob this fucking evidence locker in a police station." And they're like, "No, don't do it. It's crazy." And he's like, "Fuck it, I'm going in the front door." And like his plan is to get arrested. And they're like, how are you going to do that? And he's like, I'm a black man on the corner of like, La Brea and I don't know, wherever in LA or DC. And he's like, it shouldn't be difficult. And he just like sort of eyeballs a cop car and just sort of like briskly trots along. And they're like, whoop, whoop. And it seems like you're being like, oh, like, yeah, racial profiling. That's not so good. But it does the opposite because like it's all part of his plan. Right? Like he wanted to get arrested, and then like the two cops who pull him over, like one of them is like the crusty veteran who's like, I dealt with a lot of your kind before, like wants to basically break his arm and beat him, and like the other cop is just like, hey, come on, buddy, you're gonna break his arm. He hasn't done anything yet, technically. But again, the racist asshole old cop was right, because Agent Eric Carter, as soon as they like let their guard down for a second, just fucking disarms them and fucking like straps a bomb to their fucking chest. So again, it's a that's the view of like the law enforcement intelligence agent view of the world.
Yeah, you have to be able to. I mean, it's always justified if you see somebody even like. Actually, you can tell that why we have to pull everybody over all the fucking time. Like, look at the world through our eyes. This black guy's just about to break into our police station and steal $2 million.
Yeah. I mean, little do they know, it's all for the greater good. He's a patriot.
Yeah, he is.
Of course.
It's a patriotic heist. That is like the second show in the second hour of the day. He's been awake for 2 hours, and in the second hour of the day, he's already broke into a police station. Actually, did he get out by the end?
No, he's still trapped inside at the. Yeah. That was the cliffhanger at the end of the first 2 episodes.
He's going to get fucking interrogated soon. We're going to get to see him get his shirt ripped open. And because they came close, they teased an interrogation by pouring drain cleaner in his eye. But it was
they were gonna, yeah.
Yeah, that was exciting.
That would be tight if he had to wear an eye patch.
No, they can't. You can never hurt him too bad.
That's 24. Not too bad. It's just an eye.
I don't think you'd be able to finish the day at work if somebody poured drain cleaner in your eye.
Oh, that's true. You'd have to get some FMLA.
You'd have to at least go see a doctor, right? So, yeah, that was also very fun. Like, that was also a fun adventure. It's like, well, I'll get to know him. Because the thing is, to be the main character of 24, it can't be fun at all. That's why, like, Will has to look at it like Decker, because nobody's having a good time on 24. Everybody's fucking miserable.
Yeah, they're stressed out.
I thought he was kind of cool as a cucumber with those cops. He was like, I've had a pretty rough day. And I was like, you don't really seem exasperated or anything. Like, you're not even that sweaty.
Yeah, and he had already killed that guy with the giant sewage tube before that.
That was such a lame action scene, by the way.
It was the cheapest CGI
It looked so bad.
And it
so
showed
fucking dumb.
You want it? It would have almost been better if he would have crushed him like in the Naked Gun, like where he just turned into a flat terrorist
pancake.
body.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. It just rolled right over him, and it was like, oh, that guy's dead. And it was this slow-moving sewage tube rolling down a small hill that he was using to shield himself while he fought an army of terrorists, of course. But another theme of this show, and this happens right before we break into the police station, before we break into the police station, is our guy is going to look for his friend. His friend is a troubled vet who the administration has left behind in the street.
Previous administration, the Obama administration, let's be honest.
Right. They cut all the benefits for the military.
And they thought it was going to be the Hillary administration when they did this. Now they might have to change some stuff. So he's been let down. He's
living on the streets, haggard.
Living on the streets.
They keep saying he's drug addicted. Everybody's worried that he might be relapsing again or hearing voices again. They really are playing it up, which I think is another like really weird right-wing thing that they're just proud of how crazy the war makes some people, I think. I don't understand that.
So he's out looking for this guy the whole day, and he gets free from a gunfight, and he goes to where these homeless people mill around under a bridge, apparently. And he looks for the one guy he can trust who is wearing, he's got a 1,000-yard stare, and he's wearing a Navy hat, I believe. So he's also a troop, and they're able to talk to each other in troop language, and he's able to snap him out of his condition and be pointed in the right direction, because troops can all find each other. But yeah. I think that, like, it's been said that Eric Carter's dad was fucked over by the government.
Uh-huh.
Eric Carter's been fucked over by the government.
Yeah.
All those other troops have been fucked over by the government.
Yeah.
And then a random homeless guy has also been fucked over by the government. Like, this show at its core is about troops that have been fucked over by their government.
Yeah, they've continually fucked those people over. They take advantage of people that want to help out.
Well, like as the original series wore on, like Jack Bauer just became like more and more and more of an outlaw, like to the point where it's like he was just like basically like a drifter who would just show up at like mass casualty events and then just like immediately get put on because they're like, holy shit, this is Jack Bauer, he'll do fucking anything, he's the ultimate agent.
See, I like this though,
but it was always like the government had to fuck him over to like prevent like World War III with China or Russia, and like they had to hand him over to like be like tortured to death or something like that, and he's like, I'll fucking do it because I care about the greater good.
He did go to a Chinese prison for what was supposed to be life to be tortured, because in 24 there was a season where he had to break into the Chinese embassy. Motherfuckers caught him on tape.
No.
Got his face.
Yeah, and he killed like one of their diplomats or something.
No, big mistake.
So at the end of the season, at the end of the day, they're like, the only way China won't get into a full-scale war with us is if we send him Jack Bauer. And he's, Will's right, I'll do it. I'm going to do it because it's going to be better for the whole world, and everybody in my family's dead now.
I love this.
Yeah, I mean, everyone in his family was dead.
It's like a serial, like, pulp adventure type action book.
Oh, yeah.
Like
patriotic one,
Mac
though.
Bolan shit. Or... Like and I like that that level of change can happen, so it's not like procedural, you know. Like I don't know where Eric Carter could be now. Now I'm kind of intrigued by the promise of possibly who knows what.
By the end of this, yeah fuck, dude.
Oh, like there's gonna be so many like reversals and like so many like they just contrive so many situations to like just keep constantly changing the stakes, and like, you know, like it basically they're going to be like, there's going to be a primary antagonist for the first 12 hours. Then that's going to come to a head, and like the terrorist son is what it looks like so far. Then he's going to get taken out. But then they always reveal like some larger chess game, and there's like always a grander villain who's like secretly behind everything. That's usually when they bring in like the main character who you're surprised is a traitor, and there's always some bigger game afoot where they're like, we stopped the plot to unleash piranhas at the public swimming pool, but with a bigger plot to set the amusement park on fire is still going on.
Yeah.
Hey, well, you know what? We're having a terrible connection problem right now.
Oh, word?
It's hard to hear. Yeah, it's hard to hear you.
Let's try popping out and popping back in, because
let's
we're not
reset
recording.
Hey, we're
Okay, I'm
back.
rolling.
We didn't go.
What?
Nothing. I'll go. I'm sorry.
Technical difficulty. Sorry, I guess I wasn't supposed to mention it.
No, you're fine. You're okay. So yeah, I'm trying to look through my notes here because we haven't gotten to everything, but there is a jump drive, which that is something in these shows that's always very important, because information is infinitely more important than money.
Yes, data can be priceless in the wrong hands.
So the jump drive is every single of what's his name? Abu
Ben Khalid.
Ben Khalid. It's all of his. He keeps all of his sleeper cells on a spreadsheet and on a jump drive, and all the code words to activate them. So the terrorist plot we're looking at is 20. I believe it was 20 sleeper cells will all be activated at the same time as revenge for the death of Abu Ben Khalid's father. Or something to that rough thing. But I also found...
it's actually 20 million sleeper cells.
What? No.
It's 1/3 the population of America is going to be activated. They're going to be given the go code, and then they're all going to attack.
I would believe that.
I actually one time I had a family member say that they were worried about getting their iPad fixed at a place that was like a Muslim-owned screen repair place because they thought they might be stealing their data for
to do what with it?
Terrorist plot.
What? Yeah, identity theft, maybe.
Yeah, get some money to buy more nuclear bombs to drop on America, man. How about that? You ever think about dirty bombs?
But
right.
I like that this terrorist group is so formal that they keep a file of everything. It seems.
This is like when the government talks about the number 2 guy, like they're the COO or something. Or like there's a board of directors.
Yeah, somebody's number 2. It is always they got his number 2, or he's the treasurer. We got the treasurer. But I love, because them having paperwork is so something. Those conservative guys are like, that's why we have to break into every house in Iraq. Because some of them might have some terrorist paperwork in there, and we could probably stop an attack.
I think they got. I genuinely think they actually did get papers in that latest Navy SEAL raid that Trump just did, but apparently they were like worthless. So
10 years old. They said they were 10 years old. The intelligence. The intelligence was 10 years old, so it was you. I mean, that whole raid that Trump did is the most botched thing ever. There's probably going to be a movie about that. So, well, maybe.
No, it won't. No, there won't, because every one of these fucking chuds immediately forgot it, or were just like, "That's right, he's my president. He's taking the fight to the terrorists." Where they spent the last 5 to 6 years just like crying about Benghazi and shit. Like, no, everyone immediately forgot it.
Men hunt terrorists. They don't get ambushed by terrorists.
Yeah, exactly.
So, this is.
I want to talk for a second. No, Brian, go ahead.
No, you go.
No, I wanted to talk a second about his brother, the drug lord, the DC gangsta.
Oh yeah.
I just like the note I had about him is like as the plot unfolds in like Act 2. His brother is like the fucking weakest gangster I've ever seen. This dude has way too many emotions, and like I don't buy him at all as like a serious dude.
He's half stepping.
They showed him being mean to his. They showed him being mean to his girlfriend. I think that was supposed to be the like. No, I mean he falls in love with all these women, but he's real rough with them.
Yeah, right. And like okay, so the plot that they're setting up is that like. He's got a deal is going. He's got to babysit his brother's wife or girlfriend because the terrorists are after her, and he's off the grid. He used
to have a relationship.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
her.
But he's like also setting up a deal with quote the Dominicans to like he's gonna like they're gonna move his product into their territory or some shit like that. It's a big drug meeting, but
merger.
He let his girl set up the meeting and like talk to these guys, and I'm just like no. No, sorry.
Yeah, I've never seen.
That's violating the G code chapter
exactly.
verse 1. Like,
watch the movies, get it right.
Yeah,
we know how gangster business is conducted.
I mean, the people writing this are obviously it's a room full of like Ben Shapiro types that are writing it because every part of it reminds me of the book that you guys read on
The True Allegiance.
Yeah,
that's the other thing close. I said. It's like, yeah, Decker and True Allegiance like have made it so that like I just cannot watch this show anymore.
Yeah, because everything. I mean, the thing about it is that like it's so geeky to, like I said, to the point that terrorists keep paperwork, like keep a jump drive of all of this stuff, and that like that that woman can hear really well, which is just the weirdest thing to me. But the criminals in this show are fucking pathetic. They are fucking losers. But yeah, that Eric's brother has already been. His brother stole his wife and then stole his girlfriend and went to the army. He's had money. He's had $4 million taken from him by the police, and the Dominicans are plotting with his fucking girlfriend to fuck him over in a drug deal.
So yeah, he's pretty much fucked.
Yeah, his world's falling apart.
Well, does his world end up falling apart and he ends up being Eric's partner in the whole war and what's going on in this show?
He starts hustling right.
He's like, I may be a multiple felon, but this is my country, goddammit, and no terrorists are gonna come here and make their sleeper cell attack.
Dude,
not in the neighborhood that I sell heroin in. I've got standards.
It's such a fantasy. That is a real fantasy, though, to those people, because I can remember them saying, "Put Osama bin Laden in Gen Pop and see what they do to him." It's like, why do you think they would fucking care?
Yeah.
Like I don't think you love America that much from the inside of a prison.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is one of those fantasies. Like, hey, all the criminals will get together and they're gonna help us if we have to fight when the army shows up.
This reminds me of like when we were in DC and like for the inauguration, and there was like the bikers for Trump thing who were all like 70 plus years old. But like I just love the idea. You're right. The conservatives they love the patriotic bikers. And I'm like, they're like, yeah,
outlaws.
Yeah, I have a tattoo of a spider on my face. I've killed 5 people in prison, and most of the time I just sell crystal meth and rape teenagers. But I love America, goddammit. And they're like, thank you, sir.
I respect the goddamn office of the presidency.
Yeah, exactly.
The troops gave me those rights. That's why I ride my bike for them.
They do ride their bikes for them. It was that just, and so another plot point in this show. I want to talk about what the mayor, or not the mayor, John Donovan, Jimmy Smith's character.
Jimmy Smith.
I want to talk about Jimmy Smith. I want to talk about his assistant.
Right. This goes back to the point I made earlier about how, like, your original sort of racist instinct to assume everyone is a terrorist is always correct. But at least that's the way they're feinting now. But again, keep in mind that this all could be like 100% like a double-blind reversal. They're playing with your prejudices because it's a subtle and intelligent show.
Well,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, so his campaign manager is Iranian. And she went to an Iranian mosque. I don't know
if she's an Iranian. She just went to a mosque but it's a radical mosque.
Yes, a radical mosque. And his opponent in the race is using that as a commercial, as like a dirty commercial. Like, what's she doing hanging out? How's he going to protect you when his campaign manager's a terrorist?
She was going to Reverend Wright's church. God damn America! That scene was so good.
Come to roost.
That scene was so good because they're like she went to the radical Parkland Mosque where they prayed for the deaths of U.S. soldiers.
And that is another trope for them, because it's like, well, they exist, so in this fictional world, yeah, they go to one of them mosques.
It's like they love this idea that like there are like radical mosques, or like the sermon is like literally like kill all U.S. soldiers and it's good when they die. Like they read something about how like there's like they support like Palestinian rights or something, and they're like radical mosque terrorists. They're Yeah.
The Council on Islamic.
Oh, right. Yeah, they're terrorists too. They're terrorists.
I've been seeing them show up on my conservative Facebook pages now about like about like they're the real terrorists. Why don't you look out for them? It's like, man, they're activists. They're allowed to do that.
I do have to say, I did like the campaign manager, though, because Jimmy Smith's wife was like the ex-head of CTU, and she was supposed to cut the shit, and she was getting dragged back into it. And so the campaign manager says, don't you think your wife is just acting up so that way she can distract you from running for office and she can go back to living life how she wants? And I was like, damn, that is so cold. But that's exactly what I would do. I always am telling people, like, someone's holding you back. I just identify with that shit because I'm like, you need to drop these people that are hanging off you like a backpack, man.
Yeah.
They're dragging you down.
Too many fake friends. Many fake friends.
True, Amiri King would have told him.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need a wife. You don't need any goddamn.
I think
friends.
Amiri
Not a
King
single
may
one.
actually write for 24. I think he has a writing credit on this show.
Well, we went to an indie wrestling show on Saturday this week at my old high school gym, and roughly 60% of the audience was Amiri King.
There was a lot of Amiris in the office. There was a motherfucker in a white Hanes tee, some jeans, and Jordan slide-on sandals with black socks, and he looked fucking miserable. Miserable. He was at wrestling and he hated it.
His son's
God.
sitting next to him, and he's got like a luchador mask on, and his son's just going crazy, jumping up and down on the chair and stuff like that. And this dude he wished he was anywhere else other
He's
than
choking down a pizza and sneering.
That's what it everybody looked like Amiri King there. It was incredible.
There was a lot of Amiri Kings. There was lots of nice gold jewelry.
Yeah. I mean, that is true, though. Amiri King really could be writing this show because you have
It's
no
his
friends.
worldview.
You have no friends in this world. You work at the same goddamn company for 20 years, and then all of a sudden they turn into a terrorist organization.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you have no friends. Like, you have family, but like half of them you can't trust either.
Yeah. No, they will fuck you over in a second.
And
to
then
help
you're like,
somebody.
the one thing in this world I love is my daughter. And if you go after her, I'll pull every tooth in your head out or electrocute you, whether you're a terrorist or not. God damn it!
So the great thing is, because of their view of politicians, they hate politicians, and Jimmy Smith seems to be the sort of politician that they
Smarmy.
hate, non-white.
He's he seems like kind of a lib too. Because the funny thing is, okay, I still say that he's going to be like the mega bad guy in this season, or at least involved or a traitor in some way. But like, what I like the way that if they played out with the assistant, right, like. His sort of like the power brokers, like his father and uncle, like take him into like the cigar room, and they're like, we have information that like your opponent is going to slam you with this, like her connection to this radical mosque. You know what you have to do. You gotta fire her right away, or else you won't win the presidency. And then like Smith's he confronts her about this, and she's like, oh my God, like, sir, I thought no one would ever find out. Of course I went to that mosque. I went to that mosque because I heard that there were some imams preaching hate against America, and I wanted to set them right and tell them that is not what Islam is about. It was those crackpot imams distorting our religion. But sir, you have my resignation immediately. And then Jimmy Smits is like, no, I won't accept your resignation. You were telling the truth, and that's what I do on this campaign, so I'm not letting you go.
Dude, I just spit out all of my drink. I forgot about that part.
I know. That was my favorite part of the show, when she said, I was there to tell him, no, let's not do death to America. Let's keep America alive.
I'm a moderate Muslim, goddammit!
Of course, I never went out and told people that I don't really feel that way. I didn't think I had to, because that's what they're always like. Why don't the moderate Muslims come out? And they're like, I'm working behind the goddamn scenes. I'm going to these radical mosques, and I'm talking to them and telling them, maybe sometimes the people that drop bombs on you are doing it because they love you.
But it's like, that was the turn. You think Jimmy Smith is going to fire her, but no. He's like, I'm standing up for what's right. And just like the truth, goddammit, and I'll take the hit, but like I'm here because of you, assistant.
God, he's such a traitor, though.
Yeah,
he's a traitor.
But like, and then it's like the fucking triple turn, because at the very end of like the second hour, they're like, like we have like access to like who leaked the names to the terrorists. It came from, inside the president's staff. The name is, and then it's just the assistant, and you're like, oh, she is working with the terrorists. But as I said, I think they're setting it up as a double blind where, like, I bet you more than anything it was Jimmy Smits who released the names and then used her like login or whatever to set her up, and that's why he's keeping her on so that he can have his sacrificial lamb for that chess piece when he needs it most.
You just fucking solved the show, dude.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things I was talking about earlier is when a lot of times you're like, okay, we know that a certain percentage of the people in this show are traitors and they're working with this vast terrorist organization, which is really like, is 24 what they thought Al-Qaeda was after 9/11? Is that like, because I will tell you that show had to have influenced me, because I was very okay with the war in Iraq at the time.
Dude, not just you.
Like, oh, we got to do it.
I would say the show was influential in all kinds of ways. I mean, we know for a fact that Antonin Scalia was a huge fan of it, and that, like, Dick Cheney has said something along the lines of, like, well, what would Jack Bauer do, or something like that. So, like, I think, that is frightening to think about how this show reflects, like, the morality and worldview of people who, let's be honest, have, like, fucking fucked up the world so badly now that there's probably no coming back.
Yeah, they're just trying to unfuck what they've already fucked up.
Which, by fucking more up, they're trying to unfuck what they fucked up by killing more people. That's where the issue is always like, well, maybe if we tortured and killed like 10 more people, we get down to all the terrorists are dead.
No, but you're absolutely right, though, that, like, the way terrorism is portrayed, like, on this show is, like, the only way that, like, a war on terrorism could be justified, because, like, in this universe, like we said, there are probably 20,000 sleeper agents, like, in America at any given time. In the 24 universe, they've already set off in, like, several nuclear bombs in America, just like on American soil. Like, just constant terrorist attacks.
This is where the Quran, when you read the Quran, it poisons your mind and makes you commit jihad.
Yeah.
It implores you to commit jihad. This is that type of universe.
Yeah, in that world, it is in that world. And just the vastness of, like, you think of, like, okay, so there's America, and then there's terrorists, and then there's just people that don't know, that get killed by terrorists, and that's all the people in the whole world.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I always try to. That's seriously though. Those times that I saw black SUVs or like people running some weird intersection in DC would just get taken over for 35 minutes. And there would be sirens blaring, and my car streamed by. And I'm like, no, it has to be some sort of MIA secret agent, Yeah.
Well, yeah, I just remembered something actually about the something in the 24 Legacy that I thought was really funny. Is like in the sort of the bad guy plot, like you see, like we said, like Bin Khalid's son, who's like, this Oxford educated, like, sort of supposedly westernized Muslim, but let's be honest. And now he's taken over his dad's franchise, and like his right-hand man is like his dad's like best friend or like his uncle or something. And there's a conflict between them because, like, the older guy is just like, we've lost the jump drive. Like, forget about it. Like, as long as we're here, let's just do something. Let's pick a target and hit it. And he's like, no, that's not good enough. I'm here to fulfill my dad's dream. And what's so funny is, like, the plan that, like, the uncle or the right-hand guy wants to carry out, he's like, look, let's just go to a mall. We know there's bad security. There's a ton of people. We'll fucking shoot it up, kill a ton of people, and, like, die as martyrs or whatever. Like, that's a realistic terrorist plan. Like, that kind of shit does happen and could conceivably happen, right? But, like, the son is just like, no, I will die to pull off this other insanely elaborate and just like we're gonna fucking cause a meltdown at every nuclear reactor in America at once with the hacking code that we have on this thumbstick.
I mean, you could change 10 years of foreign policy by walking into a mall and just shooting it up. Really?
Well, yeah. and that's that is happening in Europe too. I mean, and that
for sure,
the weird. That's the disconnect, is that America doesn't even get this up front with it.
Or like Orlando, for instance.
Yeah. I mean, they try to get these sleeper cells, but it's usually the FBI like pasting a whole bunch of shit together, you know, and trying to put a bomb in somebody's hands.
The FBI telling the dumbest guys in the world, like, "Hey, I know where we can get 20 tons of dynamite."
Yeah,
The guy being like, "Oh, I remember the guy they busted in Columbus. They claim that he looked into getting giant wire cutters to cut the suspension wires on a bridge in New York, and like that was what.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
He was going to use like a welding torch to cut the cables on the Brooklyn Bridge and bring it down.
holy
I was
moly.
like, I would be like, imagine him getting through one cable.
Yeah, the snapback from that would create quite a problem.
Well, somebody would probably see him too. That
Yeah.
would be a problem. Yeah, that's one of our. He's one of ours. That's an Ohio guy. Okay.
Okay.
But so I guess I think we could go through what our favorite parts were, obviously, to end this show up. Mm-hmm. And I want to give you guys perhaps the best part of this show in 2 episodes. This is the reason I'm thinking about coming back. As an update for the listeners, I watched The Walking Dead, and I hate it, and I might quit watching it to watch 24 now. I might replace The Walking Dead
Gonna
with
go
24.
all in on 24.
Yeah, and the reason is because in that subplot with the Chechen girl and the teacher, they end up killing that young boy.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. The lib beta teacher kills like an athletic high schooler. Let's be honest, with like twice his T with like his bare hands.
Yeah, bashes his head in.
Bashes
Yeah,
his
and
fucking
the
skull into the floor.
And the reason he did it is because for some reason this guy was coming into the classroom during lunch break to talk to the teacher, and the Chechen girl was sucking the teacher's dick.
Yeah.
Which was just so, like, I know these goddamn lib teachers, all male teachers are trying to have sex with the students.
They're all pervy.
Get
But
these
yeah, that
sickos
was-
out of our schools.
Yeah,
Libs,
depraved, immoral libs.
Yeah, liberals. Like, they identify with terrorists. That's
True. They think you can hug them.
Yeah. They think if we just
They're trying to
gave
get
them
sucked off.
welfare-
They're trying to get sucked off by the terrorists.
Yeah, absolutely. So
They fetishize it.
yeah, getting that guy's seeing that high school kid get his head bashed in by a teacher was like one of those moments where it's like, I think I could keep watching this show.
Yeah, I like that kind of limit pushing too.
Yeah,
I like
that
that,
is-
kind
that
of
is what-
subplot.
That is what 24
You don't get
excels
that
at,
in
though.
very many other stories. I don't get that in any other stories I can think of.
Yeah, they excel at that, like you said, putting people in these like rather obvious moral traps that compel them to do something terrible, but really it's the right thing to do. Or you get to see like, bad things happen, like bad people doing evil things.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it is at the end of the day, it is something I love. I mean, I like that just jumping on board and going along with it. I think I'll keep watching too.
It's wrestling. It really is. The most wrestling thing about this show is when he goes to break in to the prison. He goes to break into the jail's evidence
a
room.
precinct, like a precinct's evidence locker.
Yeah, and he goes down a hall. The cops are taking him down a hallway that they're supposed to be taking him to an interrogation room, okay? And just if you look at the wall as they're walking down the hallway, and I took this note, there's a sign with arrows that point down the hall the way they were going. One said interrogation rooms, and the other one said evidence. And it was just... When I saw it, I was like, that was somebody that, just like in wrestling, they're explaining something that nobody would have noticed. Like, hey, how aren't they catching them going to the evidence room? Just if there's any shred of, they make sure that any shred of doubt in your mind was like, oh, that was covered. Like, it's just
Right.
a plot hole that needed to be covered.
I agree. Also, like Will said, the maniacal plan also, I think, lends itself to better storytelling. Like, I'm not just doing this for martyrdom. I want to also follow what my dad said because I'm a very obedient.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't want to just fucking, go into a crowded fucking room and just shoot a bunch of people. I'm trying to hijack Air Force One and spray sarin gas over this fucking Super Bowl, okay?
And for a lot of a lot of the fans of 24, I mean, their sons are terrible. So this is a good son that, may have bad ideas, but he wants to live up to his father's name and like do something for the, to please him.
The people that watch the show,
Honor.
all of their sons just joined the DSA and are all fucking mad. And they're like, I wish I had a damn Eric Carter. I wish.
Real quick, can I share my favorite moment from the first 2 hours of 24 Legacy?
Hell yes.
This is an odd throwaway moment, but it made me laugh so fucking hard. This is where the Jimmy Smits character arrives to some like luncheon or like campaign event, and he has to like meet all of like the donors and like glad hand and make small talk with people. The fucking writing of his little like patter was so fucking funny because it was like he was just saying shit to people and be like, yeah. And again, it's this weirdly sedate performance. Like I said, it seems like he's on medication or something. And he's just like shaking people's hands and going, yeah. Oh, hey, I'll tell you what. They didn't count on us. We're gonna show those CEOs and lobbyists what's up. And then like he would shake another guy's hand and be like, I testified in front of the FAA. They didn't know it was coming. It's just like,
This guy's a fucking excellent politician.
I was
okay?
dying.
It's one of the cool ones.
Dying. It was so funny.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't have a favorite moment.
You didn't.
Well, it was all
nothing
really bad, by
None
the
of it
way.
stuck.
So, like
Sorry.
it all sucked and was just like abominably boring. So I mean, like I said, I can't keep watching the show because, like I said, like my brain has already been ruined. But
I like what made me laugh. I liked when he acted like he was exasperated when he was arresting those cops, and he looked cool as a cucumber.
Yeah.
Like, and you said that some of his wounds even looked like temporary tattoos.
They did. His wounds looked real bad because he looked like he'd just gotten out of the shower and slapped some wounds on his head real quick. It's just cheap. I think
It's polished.
That'll be the thing that gets me because The Walking Dead isn't cheap. It doesn't feel like a cheap. I guess they only have to film like a certain amount of episodes, less than 24 episodes.
yeah,
'Cause they gotta
24 is
spread this
very
out.
cheap. 24 is very cheap.
Yeah, and you can see how cheap it is.
And like
I mean,
it's fucking supposed to take place in Washington D.C. and like nothing looks even remotely like.
No.
You could see the fucking ocean in like some of the shots. Like,
it does. It looks like L.A. I thought
yeah, it's
it was
LA.
L.A.
Yeah, it's
until-
LA. I keep getting confused. I keep thinking they're in LA, but like no, they're supposed to be in the capital.
Well, 24 took place in L.A. That's
For the most
that
part,
was
good
most of
idea.
it. Yeah. But they moved to D.C. and Janine Garofalo was the president, or
No, she was the
assistant of
CTO
president
or something.
She was CTO boss. So that show
Wow.
went through a lot of.
But hey, you know what?
Yeah, really.
The writers and creators of the show showed a lot of restraint by not making Janine Garofalo's character a traitor.
Oh, really? God, you know they wanted to. Though. Oh
That was
my God.
smart. That's for the
Exactly.
astute Republican watcher.
Exactly. They're like, we're playing with all of our prejudices here, and we know at least 90% of our audience is just going to be like baying like fucking donkeys to like kill this lib traitor, but we're not going to do that. We're going to go the other way.
I thought I was quite respectful the way that they kept her alive.
Yeah.
So I went looking for reviews of this show. I wanted to find a liberal and a conservative one, and I can't find a conservative television review website that keeps up with like they don't keep up with the shows. So like the shows that they've reviewed are like Daredevil on Netflix and shit like that.
They just DVR Duck Dynasty, right?
Yeah. I mean,
What did the libs have to say about it though?
all I found on Salon was the article wondering if it's woke. Did you see that
No.
article, Brett?
No, I didn't see that at all.
It said, "Can 24 be anti-immigration and woke?"
No, is
Really?
the answer to that. Like,
was the headline. Well,
They're
they
so
talked. I
gullible.
told you. Yeah, that's all they saw was like, yeah, but there was also that part with the racist cops that you guys blasted a hole in immediately as soon as we talked about it.
Yeah, I don't see that at all. Like it's propaganda. It's crazy. It's like unfiltered it's from like an alternate universe. It's like an alternative facts world.
No,
of America.
Brett. It used to be from an alternate universe. Now it just is our universe.
Right.
It
Just
has
now
totally become reality because, this is the fucked up thing. Like, it does reflect, like, it is total propaganda, but it does reflect like a certain part of the American id and like our worldview. And it's like I said, we're now in this dark reactionary moment again, and it's been like reconjured into existence because we just like we need it somehow. And like,
we gotta get our lens.
It's enough fucking people like think of the world through the lens of this show that fucking Donald Trump is president.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's nobody else to vote for. I mean, and that's what they loved Bush too. They looked at him like he was a damn
they
hero.
loved him, yeah.
You know, and that was 24 was on. I mean, this is probably going to make
Jack Bauer
Donald
was like the heroic stand-in in popular culture for George W. Bush. Like
yeah,
really
you're
was.
exactly right.
That was George W. That's what he was doing when he wasn't in the Air Force. That's why he didn't serve.
Or just
the only thing you want,
like 24, like as it went on, was like a response to like the critique of Bush by being like showing this character over and over again to be like, you don't know what it's really like. You think he's bad? Well, the world is even worse, and sometimes you need an asshole to fucking be in charge.
Right.
Sometimes you need an asshole to be a dick.
Yeah.
I think
No, sometimes you need to be a dick to fucking asshole.
Yes, yeah. So 24 Legacy Season 1 on Rotten Tomatoes. We got the critics' reviews.
What do we got?
57%.
Okay.
Positive.
It's not very good.
I mean, it's but 78% with the audience, which is the most important
Holy
one.
See, there you go. The fucking critics all have a liberal bias. I mean, this is it shows the people's champ.
But so I'll read the critic consensus before we end out the show. Brett and Will not be watching it anymore. I might. It depends. It's really on Walking Dead. Like, The Walking Dead was on last night. I'm gonna try to watch it, and I've said this to Will when we recorded the show, and I think I've said it to you. The bad guy on The Walking Dead is what nerds think is cool. So I obviously fucking hate his guts and think he sucks. You know what I like?
He's turn off.
He's a dork to me. That's not even the thing. It's like he's such a fucking dork to me that I could never be afraid of him and never get behind him or get in his mind. So I might be done with that and on to 24. And I
think I could watch. I mean, I watched it with headphones on, so I was really able to concentrate and like pay attention to the buffoonery that's going on here.
We'll see what happens. So I want to read the critics' consensus, and that's how we'll end out the show. The critic consensus is that you're going to love this, Will. 24 Legacy offers well-acted escapism.
Oh yeah, sure. I guess you could say that.
Both of those things are not right. Like I was not escaping the current hellscape.
Well, that's what's so
we
weird.
live in.
It's like you're escaping into a world that's just like terrifying. You're under constant threat. Like
one slip on a banana peel into a terrorist plot.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah,
like they do like tug at one thread. Like I mean, like. They exploit some real truths. It's just that this shit isn't happening. But like, if a terrorist cell wanted to pull off an attack, they could do it.
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad. It wouldn't if without the propaganda, just as an action show, I would probably like even stay away from it. I don't think I'd be fascinated enough to watch the rest of the season. But the fact that it's propaganda, it makes me want to come back. It's a really weird thing with me is that like. You
gotta look into the abyss.
Yeah, you got.
That's why I'm glad I watched all of 24 because like I think it explains the Bush years like in a lot of ways, and I feel like the libs who turned up their noses at it. It's why they don't understand what's happening in real America.
It's true because this is real America's foreign policy. That is we can look at like.
And their retirement plan is a jet ski.
Yeah. And the president of the United, like that's what they would show if they were like, we need an aggressive foreign policy. Here, watch this television show, and it'll show you what we think we could do with this threat.
We got Chechnyan teenagers making love to their lib teachers and killing classmates.
Well, I mean, they're not totally right. A Chechen teenager did kill a couple people at the Boston Marathon. So, like, like
True.
you said, ripped from the headlines. They're not making this up. It's a scary world,
And his teacher, and there was also a teacher involved with that one too, right?
I don't think
Like
so. I
a
think
live
it was his dumbass college friends who were just
Yeah.
gaming and smoking weed. They were like, "Yo, why does Jahar have like a backpack full of empty firecrackers? Yo, does that look like him on TV? Nah, bro. Let's just keep gaming."
Well, I know that in that, if I was the age that they were, I wouldn't have noticed if my friend was going to go do a terrorist attack. I had no fucking idea. Like, what? I wouldn't have been involved, obviously. I would say no thanks. But, it would take
Good
me.
for you, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
brave.
I mean, I don't know that I knew anybody that knew anything enough about politics to be a terrorist. That
To be radicalized.
Yeah, yeah. They weren't paying attention to any of that stuff.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming on and doing 24 with us.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. It's just like Jack Bauer. It's just like the job has to be done, no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there's a fucking weird show with Jimmy Smits in it, we gotta talk to Will Menaker.
No, we
about it.
gotta come back for the Mayans show. The Sons of Anarchy.
Oh my
spin-off.
God!
When the Mayan show comes out, yeah. When the Mayan show comes out, we're gonna do it big for that.
Yeah, I'm ready to ride again.
Yeah, we might have to do that live on a stage. If we ride with the Mayans or the Redwood original show too. They've talked about doing a mini series where they tell you about the original story with Jax's dad.
Yeah,
Which I hope they just have played by Jax again.
that would be amazing.
Because it's a prequel. So
Yeah.
Jax could play his dad. They
They
look
looked alike. You look just like your father.
You look just like fucking Gemma says, you look just like your daddy. They go back to, oh my God.
All right, guys.
Well,
my connection, I think, is about to get fucked up, so I should take off. But always a pleasure
All right.
talking to you guys.
Thanks,
Peace.
man. Later.
And
Bye.
thanks everybody for listening. That was Will Menaker. If you haven't heard of him, he's on the Chapo Trap House podcast, a very famous one that was in the New Yorker magazine. You can get them on SoundCloud, iTunes, and everything. We're also Grey Wolf, so we get that bonus content. I was a big fan of the tabletop game theory one. I hope to play that a version of that game someday. You can support Street Fight Radio by getting on our Patreon page, patreon.com/Street Fight Radio. For $5 a month, you can get free live videos from our live performances, including the show this Thursday at Cafe Kerouac and the show in Chicago on March 2nd. I'm also nailing down dates for Pittsburgh in March. I think it's going to be a big deal, but that's coming most likely on the 19th. I'm also working on events further than that. Everything's moving in the right direction. All I need is a bunch more money, and we can accomplish some huge things. Thank you to everybody that's gotten this far in the journey and has stayed with us. It's amazing to keep hearing from y'all, and we're going to keep doing it 3 times a week.